All righty. Let's pick up where we left off last week. Last week we went over the two different types of Gentiles. Today we're going to go into the two kingdoms. We're going to go into the actual history of how we became two separate nations, so to speak. But before we do, who can tell me what were the two different type of Gentiles we had last week?
The two types of Gentiles were those of other nations.
Yep.
And Hellenized Gentiles, those were forced to convert to other nations' ways.
All praise, 100% correct. Where can we read about the real Gentiles?
The real Gentiles.
Meaning of the other nations. Went over it last week. A quick cutter.
I'm not sure.
Okay, no, that's good. That's good. All right, let's go to 1 Ezra 8 and 69. Let's get that real quick.
Book of 1 Ezra, chapter 8, verse 69.
Mm-hmm.
The nation of Israel, the princes, the priests, and Levites, have not put away from them the strange people of the land.
The strange people of the land. When something is strange, let's get that definition. What does strange mean? Give me the definition of the word strange. They have not put away the strange people of the land. All right, read that.
Strange. Different from what is usual.
So these people being in our land is different than what is usual. Read.
Ordinary or expected.
Read the second one.
Not before known.
Uh-huh.
Heard or seen.
Uh-huh.
Unfamiliar.
Unfamiliar. These people are unfamiliar. Read. Not entirely.
Not entirely comfortable or well. Uncomfortable, ill at ease.
Ill at ease. So that's what these people are considered. When something is strange, that is what you are. That is what you are. Not before seen, heard, unfamiliar. Scroll up to that first definition. It says different from what is usual, ordinary, or expected. So those people are not expected in our land. It's just like when you go into the hood, all right? You see all black people, then you see a random Chinese man. It's like, what is he doing here? That is strange. Or you see the random old 40-year-old white man. It's like, what is he doing here? All right? They are the strangers. So finish that verse.
1 Ezra 8, verse 69. The nation of Israel, the princes, the priests, and Levites have not put away from them the strange people of the land, nor the pollutions of the Gentiles, to wit, of the Canaanites.
The Canaanites are Gentiles.
Hittites.
The Hittites are Gentiles.
Pharisees.
Pharisees are Gentiles.
Jebusites.
Jebusites are Gentiles.
And the Moabites.
Moabites.
Egyptians.
Egyptians.
And Edomites.
And the Edomites. Read.
For both they and their sons have married with their daughters, and the holy seed is mixed with the strange people of the land. And from the beginning of this matter, the rulers of the great men have been partakers of this iniquity.
They have been partakers of this iniquity. So this is another precept to prove that interracial marriage is sin. Go to Psalms 38 and 18 real quick. Let's prove that iniquity is sin.
The book of Psalms, chapter 38, verse 18. For I will declare mine iniquity.
For I will declare mine iniquity. Read.
I will be sorry for my sin.
I will what?
Be sorry for my sin.
I will be sorry for my sin. So it is a sin to marry these strange Gentile nations. All right? It is a sin for that. So that's how we find the real Gentiles. Now, how did we become Gentiles? 2 Maccabees 6 and 6. I think we went over it. Did we read it last week, anything? 6 and 6. Yeah, we read it. Okay, good. Let's read it again.
The book of 2 Maccabees, chapter 6, verse 6.
This is a quick cutter to show you how we became Gentiles.
Neither was it lawful for a man to keep Sabbath days or ancient feasts, or to profess himself at all to be a Jew. And in the day of the king's birth, every month they were brought by bitter constraint to eat of the sacrifices. And when the feast of Bacchus was kept, the Jews were compelled to go in procession to Bacchus, carrying ivy.
Carrying ivy. Bishop last week, he messed it up. He said he going to fix it. It was ivy, not ivory. All right, read.
Moreover, there went out a decree to the neighbor cities of the heathen by the suggestion of Ptolemy against the Jews, that they should observe the same fashions and be partakers of their sacrifices.
That's the same thing going on today. Read.
And whoso would not conform themselves to the manners of the Gentiles should be put to death.
Should be what?
Should be put to death.
So, do you think the population of Gentiles increased in those days? Absolutely. We stopped calling ourselves Jews, and we said, yes, I am a Greek, I am Williams, I am Johnson, I am Toby, I am all these things. Matter of fact, pull that clip up real quick of Kuta Kinte. I want to show y'all 2 Maccabees 6:6 took place right here in America. That's why this place is called spiritual Egypt and spiritual Sodom. The same thing that happened aforetime happened again right here. This is Greece. This is Rome. This is Babylon. This is Assyria. This is Egypt. All of them are rolled into America, like Bishop went over last week. Y'all found it? Let's play it. Some of these young bucks don't know. They ain't never seen the clip before. They ain't never seen it. This is 2 Maccabees 6:6.
I want to hear you say your name. Your name is Toby. What's your name?
Kunta.
So he holding on to his natural name.
Lord God, help that boy. They're going to whip him dead.
They're going to whip him dead.
What's your name? Say it. Toby. Who are you? Say your name. What's your name?
Toby.
All right, take it off. Read 2 Maccabees 6:9 again.
2 Maccabees 6:9. And whoso would not conform themselves to the manners of the Gentiles.
So who should not conform themselves to the manners of the Gentiles? That's what we just witnessed. Read.
Should be put to death.
Should be what?
Should be put to death.
What did he say? They're going to whoop him till he dead. Read.
Then might a man have seen the present misery.
Right. You ain't seen nothing until you saw those things happen. That's what happened to us in Greece. That's what happened to us in America. That's why we go by the names that we have today. We don't even think about changing our name. The Israelites are the only people. The Israelites, I take that back, and the Muslims, the black Muslims, because they at one point, not no more, they took their names off. But we the only two people. Ain't nobody in Christianity concerned about their name. They are asleep. You ain't never met a Christian that said, yeah, my name is Adam X. My name is Adam Israel. No. They are happy being Pastor Jenkins. They happy being Pastor Jones.
Jenkins family reunion.
In Jesus' name. In Jesus' name, they hold on to all of those things. Why? Because it is a slave religion. It is a slave religion.
Hey, Cap, let me get this right quick. Psalms 44, 11, because that clip you pulled is showing, we got beat into submission to changing our name.
Right.
Right? And we have to arm our brothers. Nations, well, let's just say the no clips of that happening today.
Right. Yep.
Read what you got.
The book
Start
of
at 11.
Psalms chapter 44, verse 11. Thou hast given us like sheep appointed.
Given us like sheep appointed
for meat, and has scattered us among the heathen.
Scattered us among what type of heathen, brethren? The Gentile heathens. Okay, go ahead.
Thou sellest thy people for naught, and dost not increase thy wealth by their price.
Read.
Thou makest us a reproach to our neighbors, a scorn and a derision to them that are round about
Now,
us.
verse 14.
Thou makest us a byword
Thou
among.
makest us a byword. This is how we became a byword. Don't think that our forefathers they said, this is your name. Oh, okay. Since you said that's what my name is, I'm going to take that name. No. And it's going to be the same way when we get the kingdom. We're going to have to bring them under subjection the same way. Read that. Finish that.
Thou makest us a byword among the heathen, a shaking of the head among the people.
All right.
All right. So from there, so we showed y'all the real Gentiles. We showed y'all how we became Gentiles. Matthew 4 and 15. And then we're going to get into the topic of today, which is the split and the two kingdoms. I want to quick before we just get into the history. Matthew 4 and 15.
The book of Matthew, chapter 4, verse 15. The land of Zabulon and the land of Nephthalim, by the way of the sea, beyond Jordan, Galilee of the Gentiles.
So, Galilee of the Gentiles was, it said, what two tribes? Read it again.
The land of Zabulon.
The land of Zebulun.
And the land of Naphtali.
And the land of Naphtali. Read.
By the way of the sea, beyond Jordan, Galilee of the Gentiles.
So, these two tribes became Gentiles. They became Gentiles. How so? We're going to read about that today. So, when you go into the history of the Israelites, we were, as a nation, where were we formed at? Where were we formed at? We started off where? Who can tell me? What country did we begin in? I don't know how I forget his brother. He here all the time too. Brother Moshe, all praises. You ain't got your scarf today, that's why. Brother Moshe, put the scarf up for the summertime.
Yes, sir. For Saturday. Shalom, captains.
Hey, shalom.
We start off as a nation in Egypt.
In Egypt, good. Hold on. What condition were we in?
Captivity.
Captivity. Why?
Because of disobedience.
Disobedience to what?
Of the commandments, the laws.
Okay, well, I ain't gonna never say you wrong with that. What did we do?
We start practicing the ways of the heathen, of the Egyptians.
No, I won't say that. Because we started off in Egypt as a nation. We were in slavery.
Well, we were with Joseph, when Joseph was there.
Nope.
We turned.
Nope. Anybody else want to help him out? Why were we enslaved in Egypt? Because remember, when we first went into Egypt, Joseph went down to the second in charge, right? Yes, and then eventually they said a man who knew not Joseph, that kingdom came, and we were in slavery. So we didn't do anything wrong. So we think. All right, here we go. Let's hear Brother Judah.
They wanted to decrease our population, so they put us in hard bondage, and in order so we won't populate.
Not quite. What did we do before? Before we even got to Egypt, we had to do something for us to be in captivity. I give you an example. Us being in America today, right? We woke up to the understanding that we're the Israelites. But our forefathers sinned, and we were put here in Egypt. In America. You understand that, right?
Yes, sir.
So what did we do before we even got to Egypt for us to be in slavery?
We worship idols?
Nope. All right, let me hear all saying that. Oh, no, hold on. Let me, right beside you. Let me hear the brother right beside you. What's your name?
Shalom, leadership.
Shalom.
Gabriel.
Brother Hebrew?
Brother Gabriel.
Gabriel, okay, gotcha.
We disobeyed the Most High. We broke the commandments. We didn't listen.
What did we do?
Broke the commandments.
What commandments?
The 10 Commandments.
Which one? All right. Y'all right, but y'all wrong. And I'll explain it right here. I know I'm saying the thing I know. Go to Genesis 6. Genesis chapter 6.
Make sure y'all taking notes.
So the reason why we were in captivity was because our forefathers, what they did, the same thing that Solomon did, interracial marriage. Genesis 6 and start at verse 2.
The book of Genesis, chapter 6, verse 2.
Mm-hmm.
That the sons of God saw the daughters of
The
men.
sons of God was that line of the line of Adam, that righteous seed. Read. The sons of God, read.
Saw the daughters of men.
They saw the daughters of men, which was the Gentile seed. Read.
That they were fair, and that they took them wives of all which they chose.
And they took them wives of all that they chose. They intermingled the seed with that unrighteous seed. Read.
And the Lord said, my spirit shall not always strive with man, for that he also is flesh. Yet his days shall be 120 years.
Jump down to verse 5. Yeah, 5.
Verse 5. And God saw that the wickedness of man was great in the earth, and that every imagination of the thoughts of his heart was only evil continually.
Was only evil continually. So from that time, we marked ourselves to be born into captivity. Give me that in Jeremiah. What's that? Jeremiah 3. Is Israel a homeborn slave?
2, I think 14.
Yep. So we were born as a nation in captivity because of those sins right there. Everybody understand that? The sons of God slept with the daughters of men. That wasn't angels and all that. That was one line mixing with another line. Got it?
Yes, sir. The book of Jeremiah, chapter 2, verse 14.
Mm-hmm.
Is Israel a servant?
Is Israel a servant?
Is he a homeborn slave?
Is he what?
Is he a homeborn slave?
Is he a homeborn slave? Read.
Why is he spoiled?
Why is he spoiled? Why? Because we were born in captivity. Every time you see Israel, slavery, slavery, slavery. You go through the book of Judges, slavery. You go through the book of Kings, slavery. You go through Chronicles, slavery. Hell, go to Matthew. I'm show you. Even in Matthew, slavery. There's nowhere in this book where you don't read about captivity.
Verse 17.
Mm-hmm.
So all the generations from Abraham to David are 14 generations.
Uh-huh.
And from David unto the carrying away into Babylon.
From David unto the carrying away into Babylon. How were we carried away into Babylon? As what? As slaves. Read.
Are 14 generations. And from the carrying away into Babylon unto Christ are 14 generations.
So all those generations were times of captivity over and over again. Now, let's get back to the topic.
Hey, Cap.
Yeah.
Just one quick thing. Go back to 6 and 2. I want to show y'all, make a precept. I'm going to give you a precept to help you understand sons of God also.
Yep.
Read that, just 6 and
Genesis,
2 only.
The book of Genesis, chapter 6, verse 2. That the sons of God saw the daughters of men, that they were fair, and they took them wives of all which they chose.
Because you read it like that, and if you don't have to understand it, you like, I don't see interracial marriage. What's wrong with that? Now, go to the book of Luke, chapter 3.
The book.
And I just want you to read the last verse, because when you start at like verse 23 and read down, you're actually reading the same lineage that you read in Genesis 5.
Yep.
All right? So just read verse 38.
Luke chapter 3, verse 38. Which was the son of Enos, which was the son of Seth, which was the son of Adam, which was the son of God.
So Adam was what?
The son of God.
So now when you read that, you understand that that lineage traces all the way back to us. All right?
Y'all understand that? So that sons of God was that Israelite lineage. Mixed with what? The daughters of who? The daughters of men, which was that other seed line. We ain't gonna get too deep on that. We're gonna do that after we don't taught this basic class for a few months. Then I let Captain Kimmy go deep with y'all. All right. From there. So what did I ask y'all? Oh, why was we born into Egypt as slaves? It was because of interracial marriage. So who can tell me, how long were we in Egypt? How long were we in Egypt? Officer Azariah.
Shalom. It was 430 years.
430 years. Correct. Go to Exodus 12 and 40.
The book of Exodus, chapter 12, verse 40. Now the sojourning of the children of Israel who dwelt in Egypt was 430 years.
Was 430 years we're in Egypt. Let's get the prophecy. Genesis 15 and 13.
The book of Genesis, chapter 15, verse 13. And he said unto Abram, know of a surety that thy seed shall be a stranger in a land that is not theirs, and shall serve them, and they shall afflict them 400 years.
They shall serve them and afflict them 400 years. That's not talking about exactly 400 years in America. How do we know that? Because what was that, 2019? Everybody was saying it was 400 years. We was going to be delivered out of here. Why is that not true? Well, yeah, we still here. Officer Azariah.
Because they was going by the 1619, but our people was here before 1619, starting in 1492.
There you go. It actually started in 1453, I think it is. Pull up the papal bull. Remember, Bishop been going over this. The papal bull of, what was it, Cap? What's the name of it?
The Dumb Diverses.
The Dumb Diverses. Pull that up. They started enslaving Northern Kingdom in 1400s. In the 1400s. We all know about 1492 with Christopher Columbus, but it happened in 1453, I want to say. That's when the Dumb Diverses came out, and they began enslaving us from that point. So if it was 400 years exact, we should have been out of here in the 1800s. But all we got was the Emancipation Proclamation.
Pull it up on Wikipedia.
Y'all got it yet,
got
IT? The Dumb Diverses Paper Bull. And we're going over this to show y'all that that 400 years is not per se exactly match up with what happened with us. That was going into Egypt, not America.
There you go. That should be easier to read.
Because people try to use that scripture to try to neglect your faith, to try to tear down your faith. Say, hey, 400 years already happened. Y'all ain't been delivered. That was talking about Egypt. All right, go ahead, read it.
Check. It says, Dumb Diverses is a papal bull issued on the 18th of June, 1452, by Pope Nicholas V. It authorized Alfonso V of Portugal to conquer Saracens and pagans and consign them to perpetual servitude.
So they determined who was a pagan. The white man himself called you a pagan or not. Read.
Pope Calixtus III reiterated the bull in 1456 with Inter Caetera, not to be confused with Alexander VI's bull of the same title, renewed by Pope Sixtus VI in 1481, and Pope Leo, the 10th in 1514 with, can you blow it up a bit? I'm sorry.
You good.
With Paracelsus, the notions, English, especially the description. The concept of the consignment of exclusive spheres of influence to certain nation states was extended to the Americans in 1493 by Pope Alexander VI with Inter Caetera.
All right. So that just paints the picture for y'all to understand that this has been going on. They had it in writing in 1452 that those Jews would be legally, lawfully have a perpetual servitude if they didn't worship white man Jesus.
And you know what's crazy is our people are willing to accept anyone, right?
Yep.
They already had it in their minds when they left in them ships.
Mm-hmm.
We are going, and wherever we land, whoever we see, they belong to the queen.
Damn.
Or they belong to the king, right? Their property. They are going into captivity, subjection. All right? And nothing has changed to this very day. Here in America, we 3/5 of a man.
Yep.
Nothing has changed to this very day.
That's a heavy point. So, Genesis 15:13, go to 7 and 6. Read that.
The book of Acts, chapter 7, verse 6.
Mm-hmm.
And God spake on this wise, that his seed should sojourn in a strange land, and that they should bring them into bondage and entreat them evil 400 years.
400 years. So some say 400 years, others say 430 years. Do y'all know why there's two numbers? One number is counting the years when Joseph was there, and one of them is counting the years without Joseph. So it's 400 years without Joseph, but there was 30 years when Joseph was there as well. So that's why those numbers are interchangeable. All right. So you had the 430 years. Obviously, I would hope y'all know about the Exodus, right? So we were born into captivity. The Exodus happened, right? Moses led us out. After Moses led us out of Egypt, we were given the commandments, right? We were given the commandments. From that time to King David, how long were we on the earth? Who knows? How long was that time period? And what is that time period called? There's a book named after it. Who was setting up order for Israel during that time? From post-Exodus until King David. What was that time period called? That's why we're doing these classes. We're keeping it basics. See, a lot of us, we ask deep questions. We got to get the basics. Starts with a J. Each and every last one of you are called these. The time period of the judges. The judges, right? Because when Samuel was on the earth, what was Israel crying for? A king. Because they had judges before that time. Go to Acts 13. What I want? I want Acts 13 and 20. Yep.
The book of Acts, chapter 13, verse 20. And after that,
Matter of fact, start at 17 and read down.
Acts chapter 13, verse 17. The God of this people of Israel chose our fathers and exalted the people when they dwelt as strangers in the land of Egypt. And with an high arm brought he them out of it.
Right. So I wasn't making that up when I said we were delivered out of Egypt. Read.
And about the time of 40 years suffered he theirs manners in the wilderness.
Right. When we delivered, we were in the wilderness for 40 years. Read.
And when he had destroyed 7 nations in the land of Canaan, he divided their land to them by lot. And after that, he gave unto them judges.
And after that, he gave us what?
Unto them judges.
So that's how the time period of the judges came about. Read.
About the space of 400 years, 450 years.
So we had judges for 450 years. That's why when bishops say, when you're reading a line, you ain't just reading a line. You're reading years. How many chapters is the book of Judges? That's 21 chapters. You're reading 450 years in those 21 chapters. It don't seem like it, but it's a lot of stuff that's coming out during that time period. That's almost that's what, 4 centuries. 4 centuries that you're reading in that little book. Read that again, how long we were there?
And after that, he gave unto them judges about the space of 450 years until Samuel
the prophet. Read.
And afterward, they desired a king.
And afterward, they desired a king. That's why I like reading Acts. Acts does a good job of recapping our history in a short, concise manner. Because the Old Testament, it gets a little lengthy. You got to know the details. But if you go through this, different instances throughout the whole New Testament, what do they quote? The Old, right? Because that's what they based. That's what it was built on. Keep reading.
And afterward, they desired a king. And God gave unto them Saul, the son of Cis, a man of the tribe of Benjamin, by the space of 40 years.
And he was the king for 40 years. Read.
And when he had removed him, he raised up unto them David to be their king.
Then David became king. Read.
To whom also he gave testimony and said, I have found David the son of Jesse, a man after mine own heart, which shall fulfill all my will.
So now the stage is set, right? The kingdom is set. We understand what happened. We had Saul, we had David, which led up to who? Who was the next king? Solomon was the next king, right? Solomon was the next king. When David was ruling, all right, David was at war with other nations. He didn't rule during a peaceful time. He set the stage for Solomon. What did Solomon do during his reign that was very notable? Brother Moshe, I got it now. Brother Moshe. All praises. Moshe.
Thank you, sir. He built the temple.
Good. The temple was built during his reign. Absolutely correct. So now let's get into it. Let's go to. Well, let's not get into it.
You know,
just yet.
I
Go
want
ahead,
to make this
please,
point.
please.
When we just read from verse 17 down to verse 20, you got to keep something in mind. So that's 450 years, right? We were enslaved, or we were in Egypt 430 years. Then you read this period of history, 450 years. Think about some of our brothers and sisters that lean to their own understanding, that talk about the earth is millions of years old,
right.
and things of that nature. All right, this is and you always got to remember. Go to First Timothy 6:20. I'm gonna make this quick, but whose science are they, or who are they relying on when they come up with that? They're relying on the white man, right? And his science. We can clearly get a biblical account of the earth, how old the earth is. I want you to read that, and I got one other one, and we're going to jump into it. But when you read things that you've heard, doctrines that you heard, should come to your mind and be like, you know what? That smashes that, what I heard. That doesn't even make sense. That's not biblical. Does that make sense to y'all? All right, read that for 1 Timothy.
1 Timothy 6, verse 20. O Timothy, keep that which is committed to thy trust, avoiding profane and vain babblings, and oppositions of science falsely so called.
And oppositions of science falsely so called, because science opposes what the Bible says. All right. One other thing about time. Give me that a second. Excuse me. 2 Peter 3. 2 Peter 3, and I think it's verse 8. Yep, that's all I want. Verse
2 Peter chapter 3, verse 8. But beloved, be not ignorant of this one thing, that one day is with the Lord as 1,000 years, and 1,000 years as one day.
So, you know, you got to think about it. Of years old. The first person found in Africa, the carbon dated their bones to 6 million years or whatever. That's not biblical. All right.
Yep. Hey, I got another one to give us another back to back us on those years. Go to 1 Kings 6 and 1. 1 Kings chapter 6 and verse 1, dealing with the years.
The book of 1 Kings chapter 6 and verse 1. And it came to pass in the 480th year after the children of Israel were come out of the land of Egypt.
So after 480 years, after the children of Israel came out of Egypt, read.
In the 4th year of Solomon's reign over Israel, in the month Ziph, which is the 2nd month that he began to build the house of the Lord.
So after 480 years, Solomon became king. So then you can backtrack and count those years and see how it adds up. All right. So from there, go to Sirach 47 and verse 1. Let's learn a little bit about David real quick before we jump to Solomon.
The book of Sirach, chapter 47, verse 1. And after him rose up Nathan to prophesy in the time of David, as is the fat taken away from the peace offering. So was David chosen out of the children of Israel. He played with lions as with kids.
He played with lions as with kids. This is our forefathers. Read.
And with bears as with lambs.
He played with bears as with lambs. Read.
Slew he not a giant when he was yet but young? And did he not take away reproach from the people when he lifted up his hand with the stone and the sling?
Read.
And beat down the boasting of Goliath? For he called upon the Most High Lord, and he gave him strength in his right hand to slay that mighty warrior, and set up the horn of his people. So the people honored him with 10,000s, and praised him in the blessings of the Lord, and that he gave him a crown of glory.
Right. So there's nothing wrong with honoring men for defending and fighting on behalf of the Most High. That's why all the praise and honor we give to the bishops and the deacons, they earn that. 30, 20 years laboring in his truth to bring forth what we at today. That's what we see our forefathers receive the same thing. So the sisters is in the spirit when they're doing the thank yous and all those different things, people that read the Bible understand that. Niggas don't get that. They hate to see black men receiving reverence from women because they don't read the Bible. Read.
For he destroyed the enemies on every side and brought to naught the Philistines his adversaries and break their horn in sunder unto this day.
Read.
In all his works he praised the Holy One most high with words of glory. With his whole heart he sung songs and loved him that made him.
And loved him that made him. He loved the Most High God. So, from there, let's go to 1 Kings 11. Let's get into it. So everything was good. David handed Solomon the ball. Everything was good. The earth was at peace. He subdued all the nations. Matter of fact, can you get that for me? You know what is that?
What's that?
Well, he subdued all the nations and the thing.
First Samuel. Is it First Samuel or Second Samuel? 2 Samuel 8.
2 Samuel 8. Let's get that real quick.
That's one of them.
Yep, read that.
Verse 11.
Yes. Yep.
2 Samuel chapter 8, verse 11. Which also King David did dedicate unto the Lord with the silver and gold that he had dedicated of all nations which he subdued.
Of all nations which he subdued. Of all nations which he subdued. That's why when you go into the New Testament, you go into our history, how many nations had a hand in our captivity? Every last one of them. Why? Because they wanted their get back. It's like, nah. Then when David came through, he subdued all us. That's why every last one of them, they're going to get it again. It's going to fall right back in line to how David had it. Go ahead, Cap. I heard you wanted to get some of that. Go ahead.
Read verse 12.
Verse 12.
I'm going to show y'all something.
Of Syria and of Moab and of the children of Ammon.
So you got Syria, which is Aram, Moab, the children of Ammon.
And of the Philistines, and of Amalek,
and of who?
And of Amalek, and of the spoil of Hadadezer, son of Rehob, king of Zobah.
Now, jump down to read verse 14.
Verse 14. And he put garrisons in Edom. Throughout all Edom put he garrisons. And all day of Edom became David's servants.
And all day of Edom became what?
David's servants.
Now, I want you to jump to Psalms 83. I want you to jump to Psalms 83. So this will make a little bit more sense to y'all when y'all read it. And this is why when we hear John 3:16 mistakenly, because our people lack knowledge, is all people, you got to remember, we just read it in Acts 17:20. David was a man after God's own heart.
Right.
And he subdued nations. So now Christ is going to go against what his father. Come on. Read that. Psalms 83 and 2.
Psalms 83, verse 2. For lo, thine enemies make a tumult, and they that hate thee have lifted up the head. They have taken crafty counsel against thy people and consulted against thy hidden ones. They have said, come, and let us cut them off from being a nation, that the name of Israel may be no more in remembrance. For they have consulted together.
Listen to this. They have consulted together.
With one consent. They are confederate against thee.
Why? Because they were all in subjection at one time under the Israelites. All right, we go back.
Every last one of them. All right, let's get the first Kings 11 and 1. I'm going to read down.
1 Kings chapter 11, verse 1. But King Solomon loved many strange women.
But what?
King Solomon loved many strange women.
King Solomon loved many strange women. It's funny. We me and Cap was at camp a few weeks back, probably about a month or two back now, and a brother wanted to defend Solomon and David and all of their wives and everything else. He was holding strong to that till we opened up the Bible. Go ahead, read.
But King Solomon loved many strange women, together with the daughter of Pharaoh, women of the Moabites, Ammonites, Edomites, Zidonians, and Hittites.
Now, who can remember? What did God call these nations? These same nations. Gentiles, where at? First Ezra 8:69. You see, he names them by name. These are the primary Gentiles. And these are the same ones that Solomon sinned with. Read.
of the nations concerning which the Lord said unto the children of Israel, ye shall not go into them, neither shall they come in unto you. For surely they will turn away your heart after their gods. Solomon clave unto these in love. And he had 700 wives, princes, and 300 concubines. And his wives turned away his heart. For it came to pass, when Solomon was old, that his wives turned away his heart after other gods. And his heart was not perfect with the Lord his God, as was the heart of David his father.
That's why Solomon was able to say, hear the conclusion of the whole matter. What was the conclusion of the whole matter? Fear God and keep his commandments. Why? Because he done it all. So I don't have 700 wives at one point. I don't seen everything you can see. Fear God and keep the commandments is the conclusion of the whole matter. Read.
Verse 5. For Solomon went after Ashtaroth, the goddess of the Zidonians.
Right, because he dealt with the Zidonians. So he went after Ashtaroth. Read.
And after Milcom, the abomination of the Ammonites.
So it's showing you exactly what's going to happen to you. That's why when you see the ball player deal with the white woman, what happened? He become a Catholic. You see the white brother deal with the Jewish woman, he become Jewish. You see the ball player deal with whatever. You're going to follow after their gods. That's why they have Christmas, Thanksgiving. Hey, see if you can find the video real quick of Kyrie Irving saying Thanksgiving. He said, that's your holiday, but it ain't my holiday. Because I want y'all to see, because he got his head on his shoulders. He understand that. Meanwhile, you'll see all the other ball players, the announcer come up to him, happy Thanksgiving, happy Christmas, merry this, merry that, because their mindset is with the Gentiles. But I'm going to show you the stark difference when you know who you are. Type in Kyrie Irving Thanksgiving, see what pop up, if that interview can pop up.
Hey, while Cap finds that, get Ecclesiastes 1:16, just to back up the point, what he was saying. Ecclesiastes, we're going to read verse 1:16 and 17.
Ecclesiastes chapter 1, verse 16.
You know what? Start at 15.
Verse 15. That which is crooked cannot be made straight.
And the Most High made these other nations crooked. Go ahead.
And that which is wanting cannot be numbered. I commune with mine own heart, saying, lo, I am come to great estate.
He has come to great estate. Go ahead.
And have gotten more wisdom than all they that have been before me in Jerusalem. Yea, my heart had great experience of wisdom and knowledge.
Now, verse 17.
And I gave my heart to
my mind
to know wisdom.
To know wisdom.
And to know madness and folly.
Madness and folly. Okay. Sin. Go ahead.
I perceive that this also is vexation of spirit.
This is also vexation of spirit. He learned that because of the things that he went through, which we're going to read about. All right. So we can go back. You got that, Cap?
Y'all found it yet? All right, pull it up.
The scriptures say, where there is no vision, the people perish.
Shalom, Israel. This is Bishop Nathaniel. I want you to know that you can view all our Sabbath classes live on I.U.I.C. TV. That's right. I said on I.U.I.C. TV.
Do you know your history?
I'm going to show you and prove to you that the Israelites are black, were always black.
Dance for time, just move up your body. Don't get loose and groove on the body. Bruise, wine.
Put on the armor, the procedure complete. Me nah go back, nah retreat. All traitors, every Jezebel must get delete. Me no sleep on a demon, me keep a full clip. Conspire me downfall, cause them want to see me slip. Stay close to the real ones, we seal off and legit. Cause I gotta use them to keep your soul from the pit. This a war life, I swear the damn thing.
It's Thanksgiving Eve back home. Special message to our fans.
I don't particularly celebrate Thanksgiving, but anybody that's getting together with their family, blessings to all of you guys. Enjoy the holidays. It's not a holiday for me, but please enjoy the food for me.
Thanks, Harry.
So he understood that. Solomon got to the point where he didn't know that. He was gone. He was following the ways of the Gentiles. But that brother understood, hey, happy holidays for you. Well, it ain't a holiday for me, but he knew that. But our people that's intermingled and assimilated into this culture, They don't understand that. Matter of fact, I got to show this. It's another clip. I was going to say this for Lions Den, but it makes sense. It makes sense to play it right now. All right. Hold on, IT. Sending it to you.
So as you also see those same nations that were in verse 11, and you could precept, we go back to 2 Samuel 8, and you can read about those same nations that King David had in subjection, in captivity, all right? That's why it's important, and this, like Kev said, we're going over basics, but you'd be surprised how the basics will elevate your understanding over 90% of the Christians upon this earth. Okay, I'm telling you, Christian pastors, we just sat down with one the other day. Christian pastors don't even understand stuff like this. I was telling Cap, I said, I didn't even prepare to deal with the pastor. I really didn't. He was coming with his doctrine. He got a doctrine, but at the end of the day, they all want the same thing. They all looking for a slice of the pie. Okay, they all looking for some sort of prosperity. Their heart is not for God's people. All right. Matter of fact, you still looking for that, Cat?
No, they got it. It should have.
Okay.
Play that.
It's something to celebrate.
Take it off the
This is
screen.
strategic. Let's start with Black Friday. Do y'all know it's called Black Friday
Take the,
because most
question
companies
thing
are
off.
negative all year. They go into the black that one day. They run a special, and it's called
Y'all
Black
make that
Friday.
bigger or no?
Now they got a new one, Brown Thursday. We used to eat Thanksgiving dinner and chill out. Now the specials are when? Thanksgiving. You don't even eat. You done move your dinner up. You know what? Flat screen's going on sale tonight. You eating dinner at 12:30. So Brown Thursday, this is big business. Brown Thursday got you eating dinner early. Cyber what? Monday. 24th of December is what? Christmas Eve. 25th is what? 31st. January 1st. February 14th. March, the kids going spring. April. May. June. July. Kids go back to in what month? September. October. November, we back to all the way around.
So they got this thing sewed up all year round. You're worshiping other gods, and you giving your money to Babylon because it's built on a capitalist society, which it's gonna tie in perfectly with 1 Kings 12 with what they did. But it's the same thing today. It's the same exact thing today. All right, let's pick up. We got to start reading. Let's go straight to 12. All right, we know that he sinned. Matter of fact, we got to read this thing.
Yeah, you got to go through it, Cat.
We got to read.
It's gonna be longer than.
Just pick it up. Pick up your reading, Brian. I need a triple double.
Verse 6, 1 Kings chapter 11, verse 6. And Solomon did evil in the sight of the Lord, and went not fully after the Lord, as did David his father. Then did Solomon build an high place for Chemosh, and the abomination of Moab, and the hill that is before Jerusalem, and for Molech, the abomination of the children of Ammon.
So he went after all these other gods and built high places to them. Read.
And likewise did he for all his strange wives, which burnt incense and sacrificed unto their gods. And the Lord was angry with Solomon, because his heart was turned from the Lord God of Israel, which had appeared unto him twice, and had commanded him concerning this thing, that he should not go after other gods. But he kept not that which the Lord commanded. Wherefore the Lord said unto Solomon, forasmuch as this is done of thee, and thou hast not kept my covenant and my statutes which I have commanded thee, I will surely rend the kingdom from thee, and will give it to thy servant. Notwithstanding, in thy days I will not do it for David thy father's sake.
I will not do it for David thy father's sake. Read.
But I will rend it out of the hand of thy son.
So, because of his father and the deeds that he did, he didn't punish him to the level that he wanted to. But he said, your son is going to experience the curse. He gonna experience the curse that you should have experienced. Y'all understand that? So that's why you ever hear it's very, very popular in black culture. What do they say in a lot of families? We have a generational what? Generational curses. And it's true. It's Deuteronomy 28. but it's also people paying for the sins of their fathers. That's why certain people, same stuff happen over and over and over. All right, until they start keeping the commandments. So, the stage is set, right? He said, I'm going to break up the kingdom. I ain't going to do it to you, but I'm going to do it in your son's time. So let's go to let's jump down to verse 33. Matter of fact, 31.
1 Kings chapter 11, verse 31.
Uh-huh.
And he said to Jeroboam, take thee 10 pieces, for thus saith the Lord, the God of Israel, behold, I will rend the kingdom out of the hand of Solomon, and will give 10 tribes to thee. But he shall have 1 tribe for my servant David's sake, and for Jerusalem's sake.
That's why you got the lost, what they always say, the lost what? Which tribes? How many do they say? The 10 tribes. Why? Because they say they know what the one tribe is, Judah, but they don't know. They think this is the white people over there in the land. Right. But it's always the lost 10 tribes because they're going back to this prophecy. Go ahead.
And for Jerusalem's sake, the city which I have chosen out of all the tribes of Israel, because that they have forsaken me and have worshipped Ashtaroth, the goddess of the Zidonians, Chemosh, the god of the Moabites, and Milcom, the god of the children of Ammon, and have not walked in my ways, to do that which is right in mine eyes, and to keep my statutes and my judgments, as did David his father. Howbeit, I will not take the whole kingdom out of his hand, but I will make him prince all the days of his life for David my servant's sake, whom I chose, because he kept my commandments and my statutes. But I will take the kingdom out of his son's hand, and will give it unto thee, even 10 tribes.
Even 10 tribes, read.
And unto his son will I give 1 tribe, that David my servant may have a light always before me in Jerusalem, the city which I have chosen me to put my name there.
So he said, I'm going to give you 1 tribe, and then 10 tribes are going to be split. That is how we got the 2 kingdoms. But we're going to read it furthermore. Let's get straight to 12, and let's read down.
First Kings chapter 12, verse 1. And Rehoboam went to Shechem, for all Israel were come to Shechem to make him king. And it came to pass, when Jeroboam the son of Nebat, who was yet in Egypt, heard of it, for he was fled from the presence of King Solomon, and Jeroboam dwelt in Egypt, that they sent and called him. And Jeroboam and all the congregation of Israel came, and spake unto Rehoboam, saying, Thy father made our yoke grievous. Now therefore make thou the grievous service of thy father, and his heavy yoke which he put upon us lighter, and we will serve thee.
So they said, make things less grievous than your father did, and we will love you. We'll take care of you. Everything will be good. Read.
And he said unto them, Depart yet for 3 days, then come again to me. And the people departed.
So he sent all the people away. Read.
And King Rehoboam consulted with the old men.
And King Rehoboam consulted with the old men. These were Solomon's counselors. Read.
That stood before Solomon his father while he yet lived, and said, How do ye advise that I may answer this people?
So he asked the old age men with with a lot of experience, and he sought counsel from them. Read.
And they spake unto him, saying, If thou wilt be a servant unto this people this day, and will serve them, and answer them, and speak good words to them, then they will be thy servants forever.
Now, what are they speaking that? Are they speaking that from out of their mind, out of their heart? What are they speaking from? The Bible, but what are they speaking from? It's a word that starts with E. No. Experience. Experience. They speaking from experience. They've been around. They've seen things. They like, listen, tell you, I've been here, done that before. I give you a prime example. Captain Yadin. Birmingham was known as one of the worst cities in I.U.I.C. All right? It was bad, different leadership all over the time. It's just a bad city to be in. He came. He knew certain things because he had experience. All right? He changed things around, and now they up and running. They one of the best camps in I.U.I.C. now. Why? Because when he moves with experience. Because he's around the bishops, the deacons, the captains. So when you make decisions, you're not doing it by yourself. Where if you're a young officer or you're a soldier that's over camp, you may not move with as much counsel and understanding because you don't have any experience. It ain't because you mean you're trying to do things wrong. You just don't have the experience under your belt. Y'all understand that? Yes, sir. That's what these counselors were speaking from. Go ahead, Cap. You have something?
No, go ahead.
Go ahead. Keep reading.
1 Kings 12, verse 8.
Mm-hmm.
But he forsook the counsel of the old men, which they had given him.
He forsook the counsel of the old man. He said, I ain't going to listen to you. I see some of you, most of y'all don't have kids in here. You know what's going to happen before it happened. Why? Because you lived this life already. You've been 18, you've been 7, you've been 8, you've been 10, but you haven't. I've been to college. You ain't. I've graduated. You ain't. I've been late to work 3 times. I'm telling you what to do. You better call and tell them what's going on. But when you're young, you think you hide stuff. You think hiding stuff is best. I give you a prime example. Let's just I can't think of one specifically, but we all have done this. Oh, here we go. I got a ticket when I was 17, 18. I didn't want to tell my parents. So I went, I raised the money. I got my job. I had enough money. It was like $270. I got my $270. You know the mail, they send you something to send the money back in. But you're supposed to send a cashier check, or maybe you write a check. I put the money in there. Somebody just could have came and took it. My pops, he's like, you just going to send it like that? I was like, I ain't know. He's like, you got to get it cash. You got to do this or do that. If I would have thought to seek counsel, I would have been good. But God forbid somebody came to the mail and just took all my money. Then I'd have had a ticket, would have had my license suspended. All right, a lot of stuff could have went wrong. But we don't think to get counsel. He wasn't mad. He's like, all right, people get tickets. It happens. I didn't know that. I thought I was going to be in trouble. So that's just an example of seeking wisdom from those that are older around you. All right, go ahead.
Verse 8. But he forsook the counsel of the old men, which they had given him, and consulted with the young men that were grown up with him.
So he sought the counsel of the young men, other people that had no experience. That's why Bishop always say, don't counsel sideways, counsel up. All right? There's nothing wrong with getting, you may think a brother that's equal with you. You may get his advice, but you need to counsel up brothers and sisters that have more experience. That's why, sisters, when y'all come in, if the person you talking with all the time is a sister that just came in last week, something wrong with that. Read.
And which stood before him.
Go to Sirach 6:36. Show you. That's biblical. That's biblical to get counsel from the aged individuals.
The book of Sirach, chapter 6, verse 36. And if thou seest a man of understanding.
If thou seest a man of understanding, read.
Get thee betimes unto him. And let thy foot wear the steps of his door.
Let your foot wear the steps of his door. Jump to verse 34.
Verse 34. Stand in the multitude of the elders.
Of the young people.
Of the elders.
Stand in the multitude of the elders. That's why we have the Young Prophets program. That's why we have the Young Daughters of Sarah program. So those younger sisters can get some experience from the older sisters. Just like the young brothers, they can experience from the older men. So on and so forth. Because there's certain things you just don't know because you haven't lived life long enough. Read it again.
Stand in the multitude of the elders, and cleave unto him that is wise.
And cleave unto him that is wise. Go to Sirach 37. And we're going to start at verse 7.
Sirach.
So, all counsel ain't good counsel either. All counsel ain't good counsel. And as you get older in this truth, you'll learn to discern when you're hearing the counsel. Go ahead.
Sirach chapter 37, verse 7. Every counselor extolleth counsel, but there is some that counsel it for himself.
There's some people that counsel for themselves. You got to be able to understand when somebody's doing that. Read.
Beware of a counselor, and know before what need he had.
You got to know before what need he have. I'll give you an example. Brother may say, hey, I just won the lotto. You broke. He going to counsel for himself. What should I do with my money? Maybe you should invest in my business.
Right.
I got a Gatorade that's coming out that nobody else got. If I need a $5 million startup, and then I can get it rolling. Go ahead.
beware of a counselor, and know before what need he had. For he will counsel for himself.
For he will what?
For he will counsel for himself.
He will counsel for himself. Read.
Lest he cast the lot upon thee.
That's just like Bishop said one time in the old school. Brother got counsel to divorce his wife. Next thing you know, the next week, the brother don't marry his wife that he put away. You got to know if a brother's counseling for himself or sister. Read.
And say unto thee, thy way is good, and afterward he stand on the other side to see what shall befall thee. Counsel not with one that suspected thee, and hide thy counsel from such as envy thee.
You got to know all these attributes and characteristics. If a brother or sister is envious, covetous. Read.
Neither consult with a woman touching her of whom she is jealous. Neither with a coward in matters of war.
You can't get counsel from a brother on camp, from a brother that don't go to camp. Read.
Nor with a merchant concerning exchange. Nor with a buyer of selling. Nor with an envious man of thankfulness. Nor with an unmerciful man touching kindness. Nor with the slothful for any work. Nor with an hireling for a year of finishing work. Nor with an idle servant of much business. Hearken not unto these in any matter of counsel.
So he's telling you when and what to do pertaining to counsel. But not one of those times that it say, don't listen to the wise men that counsel with your father, who is the wisest man on the earth. Go back to that.
Hey,
yeah,
since you brought that up, Cap, I'm going to hold it. Go to Proverbs 27. Proverbs 27. Let me get that with you right quick. And 10.
The book of Proverbs, chapter 27, verse 10. Thine own friend and thy father's friend forsake not.
Read that again.
Thine own friend.
Thine own friend.
And thy father's friend.
That's what I want to deal with right there. Because you're talking about the counselors.
That's it.
Right?
That's a good preacher.
And thy father's friend, go ahead.
Forsake not.
Don't forsake them. Don't forsake that counsel. That wise counsel from experienced men. Go ahead.
Neither go into thy brother's house in the day of thy calamity.
Okay. Go ahead. You can finish it.
For better is a neighbor that is near than a brother far off.
So I wanted to deal with the forsaking of your father's friends. Okay? Because if they've been around him in counsel, you know you build relationships. Right? Just like when you read like King David. Ahithophel was his counselor, right? He had a relationship with him. Now, Ahithophel ended up turning to the damn devil. But don't forsake your friend or your father's friend, okay? And in this case, those of his father, Solomon, they had wisdom. All right, go back.
That's heavy. I'm just thinking about, Bishop's sons. You know, they say he rise to a certain level, and he's like, all right, we need all new deacons and all new captains. Like, that's just crazy. All right, whatever. Do what you do. So, let's go back to 1 Kings.
1 Kings chapter 12, verse 9. And he said unto them, what counsel give ye that we may answer this people, who have spoken to me, saying, make the yoke which thy father did upon us lighter. And the young men that were grown up with him spake unto him, saying, thus shalt thou speak unto this people that spake unto thee, saying, thy father made our yoke heavy, but make thou it lighter unto us. Thus shalt thou say unto them, my little finger shall be thicker than my father's loins.
So what counsel did they give him? Make it harder. They said, go out there and tell them you going to make it even harder than what your father did. Read.
And now, whereas my father did lade you with a heavy yoke, I will add to your yoke. My father had chastised you with whips, but I will chastise you with scorpions. So Jeroboam and all the people came to Rehoboam the third day, as the king had appointed, saying, come to me again the third day. And the king answered the people roughly, and forsook the old men's counsel that they gave him, and spake to them after the counsel of the young men, saying, my father made your yoke heavy, and I will add to your yoke. My father also chastised you with whips, but I will chastise you with scorpions. Wherefore the king hearkened not unto the people, for the cause was from the Lord, that he might perform his saying, which the Lord spake by Ahijah the Shilonite unto Jeroboam the son of Nebat. So when all Israel saw that the king hearkened not unto them, the people answered the king, saying, What portion have we in David? Neither have we an inheritance in the son of Jesse. To your tents, O Israel. Now see to thine own house, David. So Israel departed into their tents.
So everybody went back to their own lands. That's what it says. When they go back to their tents, they went back to their own lands. Because understand, pull up the map of Israel. And before you pull the map up, don't just get it, but don't pull it up. Why is it called Northern Kingdom and Southern Kingdom? Who can tell me that? Why is it called the Northern Kingdom and Southern Kingdom? Who can tell me? Who can tell me? Somebody. Anybody.
Because Judah, Benjamin, and Levi was in the south, and the other 10 tribes were in the north.
All praise. You all right. You on point. Pull up the image. Let's prove it. All right. So you see you got the northern kingdom of Israel, known as Israel. Then you got the southern kingdom. All right. Those 10 tribes were north. The other tribes was south. It's that simple. And notice you got all the other nations right amongst us. All right. Take that down. And let's go to Sirach 47. Let's read verse 22 and 23.
Sirach chapter 47, verse 22.
Start at 21.
21. So the kingdom was divided.
So the kingdom was divided. Read.
And out of Ephraim ruled a rebellious kingdom.
And out of Ephraim, which we're going to go down earlier, how many righteous kings did we have out of the northern kingdom? Who knows? We're going to answer it later. Read.
Verse 22. But the Lord will never leave off his mercy, neither shall any of his works perish, neither will he abolish the posterity of his elect, and the seed of him that loveth him he will not take away. Wherefore he gave a remnant unto Jacob, and out of him a root unto David. Thus rested Solomon with his fathers, and of his seed he left behind him Rehoboam.
He left behind Rehoboam. Read.
Even the foolishness of the people.
They called him the foolishness of the people. Read.
And one that had no understanding.
One that had what?
No understanding.
This is his legacy that he left behind. When he opened up a book, he got to read about himself having no understanding. Read.
Who turned away the people through his counsel.
Right. He turned away the people through his counsel. Read.
There was also Jeroboam, the son of Nebat, who caused Israel to sin and showed Ephraim the way of sin.
And showed Ephraim the way of sin, which you're going to read about here shortly. Read.
And their sins were multiplied exceedingly, that they were driven out of the land. For they sought out all wickedness till the vengeance came upon them.
Right. Because of their sins, eventually they got taken out of the land, which we're going to get to. All right. Let's get back to 1 Kings.
Hey, let me get one right quick. Go to Hosea, because we just read in verse 21. It says, so the kingdom was divided, and out of Ephraim ruled a rebellious kingdom. All right. I'm gonna drop this on you. We're gonna go into explanation a little bit later, but I want you to read Hosea 13, 12 and 13.
Hosea chapter 13, verse 12. The iniquity of Ephraim is bound up. His sin is hid. The sorrows of a travailing woman shall come upon him. He is an unwise son.
He is a what?
He is an unwise son.
He is an unwise son. Go ahead.
For he should not stay long in the place of the breaking forth of children.
So that was a prophecy that because of what we're going to read later on, that they would be taken out of the land. All right, let's go back.
All right. Go back. 1 Kings 12. Let's pick up at verse 17.
1 Kings chapter 12, verse 17. But as for the children of Israel which dwelt in the cities of Judah, Rehoboam reigned over them. Then King Rehoboam sent Adoram, who was over the tribute, and all Israel stoned him with stones.
And what?
And all Israel stoned him with stones.
So Rehoboam sent Adoram to collect taxes from northern kingdom, and they stoned him. Read.
That he died. Therefore King Rehoboam made speed to get him up to his chariot to flee to Jerusalem. So Israel rebelled against the house of David.
So Israel wasn't going. They was being rebellious. This was the Crips and the Bloods back in the day. Read.
And it came to pass, when all Israel heard that Jeroboam was come again, that they sent and called him unto the congregation, and made him king over all Israel.
So they set up their own kings. Remember what the scripture says, you set up kings, but not by me. Read.
There was none that followed the house of David, but the tribe of Judah only.
You see that? Only the tribe of Judah was following. Read.
When Rehoboam was come to Jerusalem, he assembled all the house of Judah with the tribe of Benjamin.
With the tribe of Benjamin. So Benjamin came along as well. Read.
180,000 chosen men, which were warriors, to fight against the house of Israel.
So they was getting their troops together to go to war. Read.
To bring the kingdom again to Rehoboam, the son of Solomon.
So they was going to bring everybody back into subjection. We was going to be one kingdom. Read.
But the word of God came unto Shemaiah, the man of God, saying, Speak unto Rehoboam, the son of Solomon, king of Judah, and unto all the house of Judah and Benjamin, and to the remnant of the people, saying, Thus saith the Lord, Ye shall not go up, nor fight against your brethren, the children of Israel. Return every man to his house, for this thing is from me. They hearkened therefore to the word of the Lord, and returned to depart according to the word of the Lord.
So he said, don't go to war. It ain't that serious. This thing is of the Lord. This thing is of the Lord. We ain't going to be able to dive deep into it tonight. But when you go into the prophecies of what Christ was set up to do, he was going to bring those two kingdoms. All this stuff, man, this is probably a 3-week topic if I was Bishop Kanai. But this is the beginning of the two kingdoms. Now, we read that you had Judah and Benjamin together. What happened to the Levites? Who knows? What happened to the Levites? Because we know the southern kingdom was Judah, Benjamin, and who? Levi. How did it become Judah, Benjamin, and Levi? Who knows? Nobody knows? All right, let's keep reading then. We're going to show it to you. I wanted to see if anybody had read it earlier. All right, go ahead. Keep reading.
Verse 24. Thus saith the Lord, Ye shall not go up, nor fight against your brethren, the children of Israel. Return every man to his house, for this thing is from me. They hearkened therefore to the word of the Lord, and returned to depart, according to the word of the Lord. Then Jeroboam built Shechem in Mount Ephraim, and dwelt therein, and went out from thence, and built Penuel.
So they were building what? Their own altars. Their own altars. Read.
And Jeroboam said in his heart, Now shall the kingdom return to the house of David, if this people go up to do sacrifice in the house of the Lord at Jerusalem. Then shall the heart of this people turn again unto their Lord, even unto Rehoboam the king of Judah. And they shall kill me, and go again to Rehoboam king of Judah. Whereupon the king took counsel, and made 2 calves of gold.
What did he do?
Took counsel, and made 2 calves of gold.
Now this is the kingdom of who? He was the king of which kingdom? That's setting up 2 calves of gold. Northern kingdom. This is at their inception. Were they trying to follow God? No. From the time they were born as a nation, idolatry. And a golden calf at all things. Go ahead.
Whereupon the king took counsel, and made 2 calves of gold, and said unto them, It is too much for you to go up to Jerusalem. Behold, thy gods, O Israel, which brought thee out of the land of Egypt.
So, go ahead.
You know, every time I read that, something else comes out of it. Just think, now we ain't that stupid that you just point to some calves and be like, this is what brought you out of Egypt. There has to be some coercion and
counsel.
To get you to fall for stuff like that.
Yep.
It's
real simple. It's real simple. But at the end of the day, he meditated on how he could keep them away from following the Most High God. That's how evil some of our leaders are. That's why when we call the Christian church the devil, y'all think these people really, no. They are really plotting on how they can keep y'all away from coming into the body. Like, no, we got to keep them away from the commandments. How do we know it's true? The first king of Israel did it. So that's in our spirit if you don't condone it and cleanse it. All right, read.
And he set the one in Bethel, and the other he put in Dan. And this thing.
Hey, pull up a map. He put one in Bethel and Dan. Let's get a map of that so y'all can see Because remember, Northern Kingdom had to come where? Where do we have to come 3 times a year? To Jerusalem. So they had to travel, right? Remember when you read the law, if it was too far for thee, what did they do? Huh? They would cash it out, right? Bring the money, and then they would buy it again if it was too far. So he said, I got the solution. I'm going to set up temples up here on the north side. Y'all ain't got to go to Jerusalem no more. Y'all got a map? I want a map showing where Dan and Bethel was. Dan and Bethel. I want y'all to understand he was strategic in what he did. And that's why it's important for us to set up schools. In Ezekiel 11:16, it says set up sanctuaries. A lot of our brothers and sisters ain't going to come in until there's a school in their city. That's because they ain't got it. They ain't mentally strong enough. Or their spirits ain't built up enough to travel. Like in Tampa now. They got the school in Tampa, all praises. Some people, it was too far for them to go from Tampa all the way to Orlando every week. So now we got the school out there. Now they ain't got no excuses.
Judges. All right. There you go, Cap. Go ahead. All right, pull that up. Blow that up, son. Okay. All right. You got Dan all the way at the top, right? But go ahead, Cap.
Yep. So you got Dan at the top. Then you got Bethel right now. Show where's Jerusalem. Y'all see that? So they got them right at the bottom, right before you get to Jerusalem. You can go to Bethel, or if you're all the way in the north, you would go to Dan. So he had it strategically placed on both exits so they would not make it to Jerusalem.
Now, I want you to go back down to Bethel. Blow that up. What's that on the coast in orange? What's that in the coast? That's the land of what? I can't hear y'all. The land of Dan. Why we got 2 Dans? Who knows? Nobody? Okay. I'm make it real quick, Cat. Go to Joshua chapter 19 and verse 47.
The book of Joshua, chapter 19, verse 47. Mm-hmm. And the coast of the children of Dan went out too little for them. Mm-hmm. Therefore, the children of Dan went up to fight against Lashem and took it and smote it with the edge of the sword.
Now, wait a minute. They went where?
Up to fight against Lashem.
Okay, so now I found it. Read it again from the top. And the coast?
And the coast of the children of Dan went out too little for them.
Why was it too little for them? Go to Judges chapter 1 and 34.
Judges chapter 1, verse 34.
Mm-hmm. Now, this is our land allotments that we're going to read about. Okay, the land allotments. Go ahead.
Judges 1, verse 34. Yep. And the Amorites forced the children of Dan into the mountain, for they would not suffer them to come down to the valley. Mm-hmm. But the Amorites would dwell in Mount Heres, in Ajalon, and in Shaalbim. Yet the hand of the house of Joseph prevailed.
I want you to blow that map up. Put that map up again. Don't look at me. Put the map up. Keep the map up while we're reading this. Y'all don't need to look at me. We trying to get into history. Blow it up. Blow it up. We want to keep it right there on Dan so that y'all get this. This is how I learned this. When Bishop can I teach history, he pulled these maps up. This makes it so much easier. All right. I want you to put the cursor on Ajalon. All right. Y'all see that? All right. Read it again.
Verse 35. Mm-hmm. But the Amorites would dwell in Mount Heres in Ajalon.
In Ajalon. Go ahead.
And in Shaalbim. Yet the hand of the house of Joseph prevailed so that they became tributaries.
So that they became tributaries. Okay, go ahead.
And the coast of the Amorites was from the going up to Akrabim, from the rock and upward.
Now just read the top part of verse 34 again.
Verse 34. And the Amorites forced the children of Dan into the mountain.
So they couldn't drive them out, and they forced them up into the mountains, right? Now go to Joshua 19 and 47.
Joshua 19, verse 47.
Matter of fact, read 40 and then jump down.
Verse 40. And the seventh lot came out for the tribe of the children of Dan according to their families.
Now, when you read on, it's going to give you the coastline, all right, and their boundaries. Okay, those of you that are in real estate and stuff, you know how to read those like plots and lot designs. You know what I'm talking about. And so this is biblical. All right, read on. Jump down to verse 47.
Verse 47. And the coast of the children of Dan went out too little for them. Therefore,
do y'all understand why it was too little for them? Because they were driven up into the mountains by the Amorites. Go ahead.
And the coast of the children of Dan went out too little for them. Therefore, the children of Dan went up to fight against Lashem and took it.
Now, stop. Go up to the north. Go up to the north. That city of Dan was once called Lashem. And when you read the history, there were a people that dwelled there peacefully. Okay? Go ahead.
And dwelt therein. And took it, and smote it with the edge of the sword, and possessed it, and dwelt therein, and called Lashem Dan.
And they did what?
And called Lashem Dan, after the name of Dan their father.
All right.
Fire. He dropping some nuggets on y'all tonight. All right, y'all. It's 9 o'clock. We're gonna keep this going next week. We'll tie the two kingdoms into Ezekiel 37 and Romans 11. We'll tie them in to next week.
What is a nation? Nation is men leading by example. Nation is family. Nation is community. Nation is children with role models. Nation is unity. Nation is you.
And finally, my brethren, be strong in the Lord. His word, His word, His word.